So this is top of the rock near Drimoleague, and in the 6th century St Finbarr travelled all the way here to Drimoleague to deliver a sermon before heading back over the hills to Gougane Barra, to his island Hermitage. And there is a path between here and there called St Finbarr's path, and that's what I will be following today. You might remember a few weeks ago in Cork City I went to St Finbarr's Cathedral. Well, this is St Finbarr's home we are travelling to today. I was reading the remainder of a booklet I picked up last night, written by David Ross, who is responsible for Top of the Rock where I stayed last night. And this booklet more than doubled my education on St Finbarr and the history behind this walk, which gives me a lot to think about this morning. Alright, John.
Thanks, Dominic.
Cheerio. That was John Harrington, who's out for a spin on his bike here in West Cork, and he watches my videos. And so does his son, Sean Harrington. Hello, you legend. Thank you so much, John. He wanted to buy me a coffee, but sure, there's nowhere around here. And so he gave me money to go and buy more than a coffee for myself when I reach the next town. Holy. This is Castle Donovan in West Cork, a 16th century castle or tower house. Half of the tower house has collapsed in on itself, as you can see. And I believe that happened in the 1930s, but the actual construction was way back in the 1600s. It was attacked in the century that followed by Cromwellian forces and eventually confiscated and given to a lieutenant in the Cromwellian army, but it eventually fell into disrepair and it hasn't been inhabited since then. This here is a stone circle which would have been constructed around about 1500 BC, a very long time ago. You can see there are standing stones all the way around the outside of the structure, and in the middle is a cairn, so this would have at one point, I suspect, covered the standing stones. There are two more tall standing stones outside and another 4 in a circular pattern over here, which are all associated with the one structure. The function of a stone circle is not known today, but it is believed to have been related in some way to religious ritual, or perhaps worshipping the sun and the moon and the gods. Must be my lucky day. Free admission. Just coming into Kale Kill. Not a whole lot here, as you can see, which is a good thing for me. This is Carriganás Castle just outside Cailkill in West Cork, and this was built by the O'Sullivan-Bear dynasty. Donald Cam O'Sullivan-Bear was the last independent chief of his clan, and when the British arrived here, confiscated his cattle, etc., he was in fear for his life, his family's life, and the well-being of his people, and so he decided famously to march hundreds of his people and hundreds of soldiers north through Ireland, on foot of course, and the idea was to link up with the rebels of Ulster, where they could then join forces. What's also interesting is that 900 years before this castle was even built, St Finbarr crossed this very river on his way from and back to Gougane Barra. I have a booklet here by David Ross. I'd like to read a page about Finbarr to you. What drew Finbarr to discover this beautiful place? For him, it was actually home. His father, Amergan, was a smith who had moved south from Connacht to work for a local chieftain, Tigernach. When he married a member of the royal household against the king's wishes, he had to move here to Loch Irsa, an old name for Gougane Barra. Finbarr was born and given the name Lougane. When 3 travelling monks called to the house, they immediately recognised something of the grace of God about him and asked that the child eventually come with them to be educated in Gowran, County Kilkenny. There he was given the name Finbarr because of his fair hair. He founded churches in that area and later in Muskerry, and he is credited with founding a church in Barra, an island off Scotland. In time, he returned to Gougane Barra, where he drew a great number of followers to learn from his knowledge of the scriptures and his godly way of life. These disciples would have regularly accompanied him on his journeys to other parts of West Cork to call people to believe the gospel of Christ. Traditions of his effectiveness still live on in Bantry, Drimoleague, Dunmanway, Macroom and Ballinedig, where churches are named after him.